everybody, welcome to today's video. I'm Allie and that's Banjo, and Banjo has been pulling outside of the circle. He hasn't really got the concept of direct rein because he was really kind of trained neck reined. So consequently, when you're lunging, sometimes he likes to pull to the outside. So I'm going to show you just kind of a difference in rigging to kind of help control that, especially when you have a larger horse. And we're just going to use the saddle and a lunge line, and we're going to be using, you can use either a sickle or you can use a vaulting rig like we have. All right, so this is how this works. Unfortunately, not all the time that can go through there. So ultimately, if you want to use the vaulting harness, you can, because that'll get you a little bit higher, and then come over here and connect directly to the halter. Okay, so this function is running from the halter, clipped through the vaulting harness, up a little bit higher. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. That's when he's like, I want to go to the fence. Come on. Okay, so once you've learned that you can't let the horse, you have to push them from behind. So you're actually going to have to come back from the flank, come on, and get them to go forward. Now, my body position is completely wrong right now, and I don't have anything, but as you can see, I can ask him to flex towards me if I want to. But that's why it's important to drive and push from this end even farther back. So I'm just going to move out to this direction. Okay, so keeping everything behind that drive line is really important, and also making sure you give so there's slack. Come on. But see, I can push him off easier. Come on. And get a better reaction and get him to use by pulling inside rein pressure. See, pull and release. And see, I want to keep everything nice and slack. My whole idea here is not to have pull and get him to move his nose forward. I just want him to know that when I pull, that means get his nose in, don't try to pull to the outside. So it's more simulating what would happen if you were riding and using a side pull. That's why you can do this with a bridle. Like, you can do this with a side pull pretty easily. I wouldn't recommend doing it with a hackamore because you don't really get the right pressure, but you might get, there you go. He is releasing. There we go. Nice and light. The whole idea here is keep him moving forward and don't let him pull out. And once he's nice and light, I can step in front of this drive line and say, ooh, and pull to the inside, ooh. There we go. And I got him, whoa, not to turn to the outside, but to face me. Very good. And whoa. Now I can wind up my cord. Okay, so this is the rigging in action. And what it does is it pulls, when I pull, back towards the sickle. So all the pressure has been put from the halter, pulling backwards and actually getting a bend in the neck. Now, come on, let's go. The reason I'm doing this is because he likes to pull to the outside and not give me a really good circle. And so right there, you can see there's no pressure whatsoever. And he's starting to relax his head. But if I need to keep him, come on, from going a little too far and pulling away from me, come on, and pulling this out of my hands, I'm going to be able to pull his nose towards me. So I'll show you an example of that. Like right here, he likes to head for that gate. See how I was able to pull his head? There you go, get away from that corner. And it's actually towards the sickle. It's kind of a mild correction, but it works really well. And I'll show you the other side. On a much smaller circle. Now you can see that the rigging is going to the halter and kind of pulling that nose in. What this is teaching is inside rein. And see, he's just relaxing. But if he starts to pull out of that circle, I can give him the same cue as I would when I was riding. Of course, it's a little lower. You can move towards that, but it's bitless, it's off the halter, and it really helps define the inside rein. Now, you can do this with draw reins, and I wouldn't recommend doing this with a really harsh bit, but you can do this with a side pull or bitless. But it kind of solves a problem real quick. He was pulling the rope out of my hands, so the change of pressure has actually changed how he knows he can no longer just pull the rope out of my hands. Come on. So I'm very pleased with just changing the rigging a little bit. Gets me a little bit of a different sense of feel. I'm still having to I actually have to keep my body a little farther away with this, but I can actually flex his neck. There we go. And woo. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video, and if you enjoyed the video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you would like to see more on Banjo, check out his playlist.